Welcome to Trident Astrology. I'm Janine Kane. Today I'm going to be going over the June weekly forecast for the 14th through the 20th. We have several configurations we'll be looking at this week. The three main ones that are creating the most intense energy this week are the Saturn-Uranus Square, Jupiter going retrograde, and the summer solstice where Sun is entering into Cancer. Now, the Saturn-Uranus Square is very, very significant this year. It is a synodic cycle where two outer planets are creating an aspect. Here, they're creating a square. This is a very powerful configuration and is going to be influential up to 2022. The Saturn-Uranus Square is forming a T-square with the Moon, and it's creating the energy that it's creating is challenges to the social structure as we adapt to advances in artificial intelligence technologies. On Sunday, Jupiter going retrograde and the Sun entering into Cancer is expanding conscious awareness toward Source. On Monday, alongside the Saturn-Uranus Square, we do have a Grand Trine with the Moon, Chiron, and Juno, which is bringing about healing in our intimate relationships and connecting to our emotional depths. And on the 17th, we have our quarter moon phase, Moon-Sun waxing square at 27 degrees of Virgo and Gemini. And this is about reflecting on those things no longer serving you in preparation for the full moon in Capricorn. So let's get started. This Monday, June 14th, we have the second of three Saturn and Uranus squares going exact at 13 degrees of Aquarius and Taurus. This is a very important aspect. It's this year's important synodic meeting of outer planets, like last year's Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Saturn-Uranus Square is a 45-year cycle, with a square occurring approximately every 21 to 22 years. The last time that Saturn and Uranus were square, Saturn was in Taurus and Uranus was in Aquarius, so they were opposite of each other. And this was in 1999-2000 when the internet became mainstream after its conception in the 1950s. The energy here is basically the digital realm, Uranus, squaring off with the material, tangible realm, that is the Saturn here. So the next time this square occurs will be in 2043, and I suspect that the expansion of the digital realm or the internet or other artificial intelligence will have already been integrated into the corporal, in other words, our bodies. So this square represents rapid changes happening in technology. Uranus is fast. It's about abrupt change. It represents technology. So this square represents rapid changes happening in technology. That's the Uranus and Taurus here. That is reshaping our society and social milieu, and that is this Saturn in Aquarius here. So this squaring energy is a tension for growth. The challenge between the necessity of tradition, that's Saturn, and the need for invention and growth, and that's Uranus. They're squaring off for dominance here. It's basically control and boundaries, which is Saturn, versus freedom and invention. So a good example of this dynamic of this square playing out in reality is how new advances in artificial intelligence is being utilized to manipulate, control society, and artificial intelligence's eventual and inevitable integration into the body and the minds of each of its citizens. Uranus and Taurus is a very fixed sign. It's about the body, it's about nature, and Uranus is rattling up and making technological changes to our physical world, to our physical bodies. An excellent example of this Saturn-Uranus square is, for example, China's use of various technologies, including facial recognition and artificial intelligence social scoring to manage the behavior of its citizens. European societies are not too far behind this trend. Via social media platforms, where we're at right now, the internet, which during the last Saturn-Uranus square became mainstream, now we're seeing how it's starting to shift and expand the social milieu, our identities, and how we interact with each other. So via social media platforms, the internet, we're living in an artificial intelligent reality, an alternate reality for social engagement outside our natural world. That's very Uranus and Taurus, where our social interactions, our identities, and our behaviors, which is very much Saturn related, are being surveyed, modified, and manipulated for capitalistic aims and social control. With Saturn in Aquarius, these are the issues that are going to be coming up to the forefront. Surveillance capitalism, the use of the social medias used to survey us, to modify us, to keep track of us, to manipulate us. This and how they're using it toward capitalistic aims is so much to do with this square here. As of yet, there are no ethical regulations on the surveillance capitalism. A good example of this is how Facebook, Google, and other big tech companies, the big five, use artificial intelligence to analyze our behavior and preferences, to personalize advertisements of which they modify our choices and perceptions of reality. And that's also very much related to the North and South nodes in Gemini, which is about our perceptions. And South Node in Sagittarius is how we're forming our sense of reality via what is inputted into our reality. So whether you believe it or not, this is becoming like a cyborg-like. So with Taurus representing the physical world, nature, and our bodies, I have little doubt that within the next few decades, our bodies will be most certainly integrated with the web. And that's what this Uranus and Taurus 7-year stay in Taurus is all about. As you can see, we definitely have some major ethical and social conventions to consider with these Uranus and Taurus advances in artificial intelligence. Now, we have a T-square to the moon, so let me pull that up. So with the moon, our emotions, creating a perfect T-square between Saturn and Uranus, all at 13 degrees and 7 minutes of Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius here. So the moon at 13 degrees and 7 minutes in Leo is opposing Saturn at 13 degrees and 7 minutes of Aquarius, which are both squaring Uranus at 13 degrees and 7 minutes of Taurus. So this is a very intense T-square, and T-squares are always about trying to balance oppositions and the challenge of and tension toward growth. And so our emotions, because the moon here is so tied into this T-square, our emotions are most certainly going to be affixated to this dynamic energy this week. Also, as we can see, there is also on Monday, as we can see, we have a Grand Trine to the moon between Chiron at 12 degrees of Aries is trining the moon in Leo at 13 degrees, which is trining Juno here in Sagittarius, which is trining Chiron here in Aries. So whilst the moon moves swiftly through the constellations, this trine is not a long-lasting trine, but it provides a healing opportunity this week in our intimate relationships. It's a very beneficial energy that can help each one of us connect with the emotional depths of our relating. And the reason why I say it's about healing our relationships is because Chiron is the wounded healer, and it's in this fairly strong trine to Juno, which is the goddess of love and marriage, and it's tied into our emotional experiencing of those two things. On Thursday, June 17th, we have a quarter moon phase. The moon, sun is waxing square at 27 degrees and 9 minutes of Virgo, and Gemini, forming a T-square again with Neptune in Pisces. So here we have the moon in Virgo opposing Neptune in Pisces, which are both squaring the sun, creating a T-square formation, another tension for growth energy during this moon phase. So this T-square, it's very mutable, and it's creating this T-square, which is creating energy for growth or tension for growth. So it's really important not to make swift decisions during this week. Be careful of impulsivity, and it's very important for each of us to stay grounded. Now, quarter moon phases are preparatory in nature, and they're guiding us toward the next moon phase. So with a waxing square here between the sun and the moon, we're preparing for our full moon in Capricorn next week. So this is a time to reflect on things that are no longer serving your greater good, so that by the full moon next week, you'll be prepared to let go, or at minimum, have a more focused awareness of those things no longer serving you, so that you can make the gradual adjustments. Sometimes when we're in the process of letting go of things, it certainly is a gradual movement toward that change. Change is not always an easy thing. Also, the Sun and Pluto here are in quincunx, having gone exact on Wednesday at 26 degrees of Gemini and Capricorn. A quincunx is the most challenging energy, the most challenging aspect to contend with, because the placement of the planets involved have absolutely nothing in common, and they cannot hear each other. So Pluto is in Capricorn is cardinal Earth, and the Sun in Gemini is mutable air. There's nothing in common there. Pluto in Capricorn is about transformation of social structures and revealing truth about those social structures. Our perceptions of truth, which here is the Sun, it's how we are perceiving the truth in reality. It's gonna be challenged to discern truth here. It's going to be challenged because the media has a lot of propagandized, polarized viewpoints. There's a lot of fake news to weed through, and there's just tons and tons of varying theories out there about reality and the social milieu and things that makes discerning truth for ourselves very difficult. And so this dynamic here between the Sun and Pluto is definitely increasing the strength of that confusion. On Sunday, June 20th, we have two significant celestial events coming together to expand our conscious awareness towards Source. This is represented by Pisces and Cancer. So first of these two, we have Jupiter in Pisces going retrograde at 2 degrees and 11 minutes. This shift in energetic direction moves Jupiter's emphasis on truth, wisdom, faith, and trust, and the discovery of the higher power from the outside world to discovering that in our inner world. So this is a wonderful time for each one of us to seek inner guidance, to find our truth from the inner depths of our souls, and to connect with Source as we connect to the depths of our beings, ourselves. Meditation will be a wonderful tool to utilize during this energetic time. Second, we have the Sun. Let me pull up that chart. Second, we have the Sun entering into Cancer which marks the onset of summer and is the longest day of the year. Archetypally, this symbolizes the apex of the etheric connection and pinnacle link to the Great Mother. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the archetype of Cancer is the Great Mother. So this summer solstice represents the highest attainment of wisdom gleaned from the imperative relationship with our emotions, which is associated with Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. It is a very good time to connect with our emotions at this time. Feeling our emotions is one way we can connect with the deeper aspects of our being. Emotions, I think, come from the depths of our unconscious. So if we really want to get to know the archetypes that are coming from our unconscious, feeling into our emotions are a huge component to that. So on Sunday, it's a very conscious, expanding day, moving our personal and collective energetic awareness from the physical to the ethereal, to the unconscious realms of our being from the conscious realms. So these two watery energetic shifts, the Jupiter retrograde and the Sun entering into Cancer, will guide and encourage each one of us to connect with our higher power, to connect with Source. Future highlights for next week. We have quite a bit going on here. We have the main things I'll be looking at are Mercury going direct. We have the Saturn-Chiron sextile going exact. This is very important because, again, it's two outer planets in an aspect together. Next week, we have our full moon at 3 degrees and 28 minutes of Capricorn. We also have Neptune going retrograde, and we have Venus entering into Leo. So next week, another shifty week ahead. So again, I really appreciate you guys joining me for another Trident Astrology Weekly Forecast, and I look forward to you joining me next week. Weekly forecast will be posted on weekends for the week ahead. And hope you guys all have a very good week. Keep yourselves grounded and enjoy. Blessings and love.